Welcome back to everyone. I am Jenny Stanley, founder and managing director of Appetite Creative, and welcome to the Global Connected Packaging Summit of 2022. As the global leaders in this space, we are seeing more and more brands, packaging companies and agencies asking us to support them with connected packaging needs. The connected packaging market is currently predicted to be globally worth around $32 billion by 2027. We know that there are various legislations also pushing to connected packaging. We know, therefore, that digital products, smart packaging, connected packaging is only going to get bigger. So I'm really proud of this fantastic lineup that we have over yesterday and today. Whereas today we're focusing on sustainability, we're going to be looking at how connected packaging and sustainability can work together hand in hand. And we'll be looking at, over the rest of this morning, lots of different ways in which sustainability and connected packaging are brought together. Quick few things around this session. It is a live session. You have two ways of being able to ask our expert panelists today questions. You have the ability to write to us in the chat, which you should be able to see below, but also there is a QA section where you can ask your questions there as well. And we will try and get through your questions through the session. And if not, then our panelists will answer you afterwards. But our intention will be to get through all of them while we are live. So we have, as I said, a very fantastic lineup today. This morning, I am joined by three fantastic professionals, all from different places of the globe. Again, a very nice multinational panel for us. We're going to be looking at changing the conversation, digital packaging and its benefits post-COVID. Now, we've heard quite a lot of different ways in which packaging can be used, but I'm really excited to introduce to you this morning Matt Ward, who is Print and Digital Director at Transcend Packaging. Big welcome to you. We also have Cloé Morel, who is our Marketing Manager at Tetra from France. A big welcome to you. And also we have Gabor Vass, who is the CEO at GoStraw Limited. A fantastic welcome to all three of you. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. Really great to have you here. As you know, if you've watched any of the other sessions or if you've been part of a webinar with me before, one of the first things I like to do is get to know my panelists a little bit better, and I ask for an interesting fact that not many people know about you. And Matt, I'm coming to you first, even though you're looking to the sky to think of your interesting facts.
Okay, well, according to you, Jenny, I'm an expert. You've just said what a great introduction. I'm an expert and a consummate professional, so thank you for that. Interesting fact about me: I'm a third dan black belt in karate, and instructor. There you go.
Quite scary then. So I won't tell any more jokes.
Yeah. What's what you're saying? What's what you're saying?
Thank you, Matt. Cloé, what about yourself?
Hi, Jenny. Thanks for having me this morning. Interesting fact about me is that I sing. I do take singing lessons, so it's more softer than Matt's interesting fact, but maybe we can do something together, singing and karate.
Fantastic. Well, I'm very happy if you'd like to sing your answers to the questions today.
Maybe not. Next time.
Thank you very much. Great information there. I love these questions. Gabor, what have you got for us? Are you going to sing?
Well, it's difficult to beat any singing and karate. So what I can add probably to this panel, that in my life I've been to most of my life I've been living all around the world, 7 different countries, 3 different continents. So collected experience from the Middle East, from Africa, from Far East, and now being back here in Europe. And maybe the funny thing about our company is we are actually customers of Transcend from Matt.
Better watch what I'm saying.
I'm not sure about that being the interesting fact, Gabor, but good for getting it in there. No, really interesting. But what I think that is a real big highlight of the panel that we've got as well. You know, we've got a panel where we're bringing together UK, France, but also massive insights from other countries, 3 different continents, 70 countries, pretty big up there. So a big big set of views, and I think connected packaging is really kind of moving forward across global, so across all different regions and all different places. Matt, I'm going to come to you first. Have you seen any change in usage? What is the change in perspective post-COVID?
Yeah, post-COVID, it's changed a huge amount, because I think through the pandemic, lots of brands really had to, because people weren't going into traditional shops, they weren't having those touch points. Lots of brands had to really scrap and find lots of ways of connecting with their consumers. So actually, we know that online stuff went through the roof, and that's all good. But actually, not everybody now shops online. I think there's a middle ground, and I think connected packaging, certainly digital packaging that we produce, allows brands to really increase the brand equity, increase interaction with their consumers. So I think post-pandemic, it's become even more of a thing. Prior to the pandemic, perhaps there was a bit of complacency. Post-pandemic, it's really important that brands get that touch point with wherever they can, and use online and offline together to do that.
Chloe, in France, do you see the same? Do you feel moving quite quickly post-COVID?
Yeah, I think that prior to COVID, connected packaging was a main interest for serialization on the industrial part, and on the consumer part, the QR code was a bit old-fashioned. We didn't really see the value, but since 2 years, a lot of things has evolved. It started with COVID, but now we see also that consumers are being more familiar with QR codes, that the legislation is evolving a lot. So it brings a lot of pressure on packaging, and we have to give some messages also to consumers through the QR code. The technology has developed a lot. So I think that today it's also easier to provide better content at reasonable price point. And last but not least, we are seeing since a few months production disruption. And I think that the shortage and inflation is disturbing the decision process at the moment. So we need to ease that decision process, and QR code is an added value in this way. So a lot of things has changed in the last 2 years, and it's getting even more visible today.
Definitely so much has changed. Gabor, you were Middle East based, now back in Europe. What's your perspective? How are things changing across the regions and post-COVID?
We were looking at how COVID has changed our life, and we are seeing what concerns packaging, a lot of aspects. Number one was the plastic is getting under pressure, and there is more and more need to look into how much greener we can get, how much more we can look into the planet, what sustainable initiatives we can do. Consumers want to know about that. So information is key here, and what more green packaging we can do there. What concerns more the digital packaging is COVID resulted in massive supply chain disruptions, as Cloé already said. So we have seen grocery shortages, stockouts, and that is an important lesson to the suppliers as well. Connected packaging can not only work towards the consumers. We have made both in the Middle East and here in Europe as well initiatives to link back connected packaging to the internet, to the industrial Internet of Things as well, backward integration. And actually together with a Middle East Swiss joint venture with Obekan, we are doing backward integration of all the big data we are collecting from the connected packs back into the whole resource planning and the supply chain planning as well. The other big impact has been the touchless, the popularization of the touchless information. Consumers are collecting a lot of information touchless. We never thought before that in a restaurant we will be making an order with a QR code scan on the table. You can't even order food proper any other way anymore. So it is forcing people to use the QR code. And what Cloé and I have been discussing that before, most likely, or what we are expecting is that besides the QR codes and the dropping costs of technology, we will see RFID as well, radio frequency identifications will become an important part of the connected packaging too.
Definitely. I think there has been a lot of different shifts, but also in mindset. And I think that affects both the brands, the packaging companies, but then, like you say, the consumers as well. You know, walking into a restaurant and not being given a menu and being told the QR code's on the table. The first time you're like, what do you mean? But then after that, you almost kind of feel a little bit like you're missing out if there isn't some QR code or some sort of digital experience. And I think that consumer change in mindset makes a big difference as well. That's a lot about QR codes, which, you know, obviously is massively increased. That's what we're talking about. But what about RFID, Gabor? You know, what about NFC, RFID? Do you see much changing in that field, in that area?
The cost of RFID is rapidly dropping. It used to be $100, then $10, then $1, and now 10 cents. Very soon we are going to see part of the printing costs that we are simply printing RFID on the packaging. And the big advantage of RFID, in contrast with QR code is an active, we call it the active identifier. So somebody needs to go there with the phone, find the QR code, read it, and then get onto a landing page on a website or which other way. RFID is a much more passive. Just as if you have your RFID receiver activated, it will automatically pick up the information. So passively you can collect a huge amount of data. That's why we see RFID is becoming important in a similar way as we have changed the method of payment from 20 years ago, giving our credit card for payment. Now we are just tapping our phone, and your RFID on your phone is making all the payments necessary. This is very soon going to come into the consumer world as well, both for information gathering, when you are just with your phone tapping a packaging and it's bringing reading you all the information from the product that is being packed, or even up to a checkout point where you are no longer going to have to scan, unpack the content of your basket. You just walk through with all your groceries through a RFID gate. Instantly you will have 100, 200 of your shopped items scanned. Backward integration into the whole supply chain, what has been consumed for shop replenishment and supply chain replenishment, all that information can be made available to all the players in the supply chain. And that is where we are expecting that a lot of stock out situation will be avoided. That is hurting us now.
Yeah, so much change. I mean, you just made me think of something there. You know, I remember when you could pay with a credit card and they'd get this machine out and it would put that kind of carbon thing and it would go shoot. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, like that is something I remember happening and being like, oh, okay, it takes a while for that to process. Now we literally just tap the phone and walk out. So huge changes there. Matt, Chloe, anything you want to talk about in terms of RFID, NFC? Do you see any big movements there?
Chloe, it's not that's outside of the sort of work that I'm specifically doing, but Chloe, do you have anything to say on that?
I think we are also looking at RFID and NFC. We are looking at all the technology that will connect the packaging, but mostly the whole value chain. At Tetra Pak, we are operating the full value chain from processing to packaging, and we are also looking at post-consumption, so recycling stream, and we really want to connect the full value chain. So QR code might not be the answer for all those purposes. So I think that RFID, NFC, QR code, data matrix code, every technology that we have to connect the bag today is of interest.
Yeah.
To bring this value.
Yeah, and each one, we talked a lot about NFC yesterday, and each one has got its own pros and cons. If you're looking for a particular longevity, then in clothing, for example, then the NFC tag can do a lot of different things. So each one is its own bridge to that communication and to that customer experience, for sure. Just working out what is the right way to involve which brands. Matt, obviously NFC or RFID is not your area of expertise, it's more digital printing. So what about digital printing and offering new changes and what's happening there in terms of opportunities?
Yeah, I mean, it's really, thanks for acknowledging that I'm all about digital. I always talk about digital. I think, it's really exciting. And, post-pandemic, as you were saying, what we've been able to do is to take digital technology into the packaging sphere and really allow brands to really connect. So it's not just about the QR code, that's like an added benefit, but actually with digital, because you can vary, you can do variable data imagery, there's no origination, there's some really exciting stuff you can do. But the benefit, I think, again, coming back to sustainability, is you can print only what you need. So there's lower wastage, it's carbon neutral process. And actually businesses are really, in my experience, whereas in the past they've sort of talked the talk, yeah, we want to be sustainable. Actually now they're walking the walk, they really do want to be, and they're accepting the differences in price, the benefits of being a little bit more sort of eco-friendly. So it's really sort of taking hold. And I think digital, because of all of its eco credentials and because of all the exciting stuff you can do, it is starting to take hold now. And I always talk about changing the conversation, because it's what we need to consider is that it's not just another print process for packaging, because if you think of digital like that, you're missing a massive trick, and actually you don't get the benefits of it. So it's all about understanding the benefits, the applications of it. How can it help a brand be close to its consumers? That's fundamentally what digital allows you to do, allows you to really bridge that gap. And with connected packaging, QR codes and stuff, you can add another dimension to it, because it becomes really, really kind of engaging for the consumer. It builds brand equity and it builds loyalty and allows you to, sell more product, which is the aim.
Yeah, no, definitely. So there's kind of two in one there. So digital printing, and then the fact that digital printing also allows you to do quick changes, QR codes, or even unique codes, right?
Yeah, on every pack, that's what I mean. You use the benefits of digital and it expands everything else.
No, absolutely. So, I mean, we haven't talked much about sustainability yet. What's happening with sustainability? Chloe, I know that you have Trizzy. Tell us a little bit about Trizzy, and we can talk more about that once you explain to everyone what Trizzy is and who it is.
Yeah, sure. So when we talk about sustainability and changing the conversation, there is one topic that is really important for us at Tetra Pak, is recycling. How can we secure the recycling of our packaging that are put on the market? And today we see that there is a first step that we need to tackle is consumer education on recycling. Is the packaging recyclable? How can I recycle it? Where to? What is it becoming after recycling process? And we saw that there is a lot of misunderstanding, misconceived fact about recycling, especially on beverage cartons. So we developed with a French startup called Trizzy an app which is a chatbot actually. So you can find the chatbot on the QR code on pack, and by scanning the QR code, you can access this assistant, and it's represented by a really cute panda. So the app is really welcoming. And then you can ask some questions. How can I recycle my beverage carton? What is the composition of the beverage carton? What are the new products that it can become after recycling? And we are testing it at the moment on the French market. but we really see attraction on this solution because it helps give the message to the consumer, changing the conversation in a way that we will simplify the message on recycling. Because today there is a lot of complexity also around this topic. It's not always easy to understand what is behind recycling, recyclable, recycled. So this is really the aim that we had at Tetra Pak to develop this app with Trizy, to bring the message, but also to gather the data of what do the consumer know today, what they need to, where we should improve to educate better the consumer on recycling. So yeah, I can send you the QR code. I can send the link also to all the people attending today so that they can try. But it's a really great app. We are really happy with that.
You do send the QR code, because this session's recorded, all the sessions today are recorded, and so they'll be sent out. So if you send me the QR code, I can send the QR code round with the recording to everybody, so they can get that next week and try out Trizy for themselves.
Maybe can I share my screen real quick so that I can show you the? Okay, let's do this. Yep. Okay. Can you see it?
It's coming.
Okay.
There we go. Yeah. Maybe put it into presentation mode.
Yes. It's coming. Should be okay. Okay. So you can actually scan the QR code that appears on screen. So you can try it at home with your own cell phone. But basically, you will open this app where you have 6 different topics. How to recycle, what is the composition of the beverage carton, what is the recycling process, false ideas that we are answering. And we put a conversation behind this chatbot with interactive content like videos, like infographics. And the idea is really that consumers will have fun discovering more about recycling and become unbeatable on the topic.
Perfect. Thank you. So here we could get involved with the digital assistant chatbot. We'll send out the QR so that everybody can get involved. We've also got a question in from the audience. It's a totally interactive session as well, by the way. So you do feel free just to drop your questions in the chat or in the QA. This question's from Carl. Who do you think are the main drivers for this forward movement in packaging? Is it brand client-led, or do you think that the print and packaging suppliers will encompass the technology in their added value pitch to their blue chip clients?
Okay, so can I pick that one up? It's a really good question. I think ultimately the main driver in this is going to be clients and actually their consumers. You know, everything comes from the end user. I think ultimately, I think as print providers, you know, we're a print service provider amongst other things. We have to move with the times. We have to include it in our pitches. We have to add value. We have to, you know, we have to look beyond what we've always done. Because, you know, as we know, we do what we've always done. We'll always have what we've always had. So you have to really, I think in answer to the question, it will be absolutely, the pressure will come from consumers and ultimately our client businesses. But actually, I believe that we should be proactive as an industry and really start pushing that out there and not be afraid. Lots of printers, you know, are say we're offline and they're afraid of online, but actually they work in perfect hand in hand. They work in collaboration. You get best bang for your buck if you do that. Does that answer the question?
I think it does. That's definitely from the print perspective. Chloe, from the packaging perspective.
Now, I completely agree with Matt. I think that we all have a part to do in this process. So we as a packaging supplier, we can provide solutions linked to our packaging. So as I mentioned in Trizy, we are also talking about the packaging composition. We want to be really transparent on what it is now, what it will become. So we are also integrating the different adaptation that we will have on packaging, like Tetra caps, like fossil plastic reduction, CO2 emission reduction, thanks to the packaging. So we can provide a part, but then we also need the brands to deploy it, and we need the consumer to be interested in. So I think this is something that is to be built. We are starting now. We have a lot of things to do, but we all have to work hand in hand, as Matt mentioned.
Gabor, over to you. What do you feel? Where's the pressure coming from? Who needs to drive it?
Well, ultimately, it needs to be a project between the packaging provider, the brand owner, and the retailers, or the route to market as well. But I think us as printing and packaging companies, we have an opportunity and the responsibility as well is to develop and provide the platforms where different brands can join in this process. So that's where we are also focused on, to create this platform, developing ways that brands can join in.
Absolutely, and I think from our perspective as the technology provider, so we create the experiences, we do the design and the creation of the experience that sits behind the QR code. If we know that the situation is there is a lack of education, then we have to support to be able to bring that to either the clients, the customers, the printing packaging company, whoever that is, so that we can actually close that gap. And I think, you know, as Gabor was saying, you know, being able to have a platform that makes it easy, therefore kind of removes a lot of those different types of questions or barriers. And I think with a lot of things moving, and Chloe, you mentioned legislation. So there's a lot of changes in legislation in terms of where information needs to be, what type of information needs to be available. Then this is also a way to be able to help solve those problems for your customers, right? Mm-hmm.
Exactly. I think we don't know everything about what legislation will impose in the coming years. It's changing all the time. We have now in Europe the SUPD, so single-use plastic directive. We also have a law in France that is Loi AGEC, which is about circularity, and it's changing a lot of things in the industry, on food industry, but also other industry, and it's focusing a lot on packaging. It's about plastic reduction, it's about recycling, it's about consumer transparency. So today we are really working to provide solutions that will pave the way for our customers to move with this legislation coming, especially when it comes to consumer transparency and messages on everything that is changing. The packaging is the best way to push some messages to the consumer at the very consumption moment. So when it comes to what it's inside your packaging, your product, why my packaging is changing, why this cap is tethered now, what is the commitment that my brand is doing in terms of CO2 emission reduction. All of these messages can be passed through the QR code at the moment of the consumption, and we think that it's our role to ease that message, and also to help gather the data that will come back, analyze that, and ease the decision making with our customers.
Definitely, you know, being able to have that conversation, but then understand, you know, that the data and the preferences that audience have. Gabor, you have some comments around that.
Yeah, some comments on that. Chloe mentioned SUPD, the single-use plastic directives that became in Europe the regulation. That's where legislators come in place as well. So we have seen, for example, in our case, we are paper straw providers. Plastic straws have been prohibited in Europe last year, and our colleagues in India are now seeing a similar legislation is being put in. So GoStraw India is super busy bringing GoStraw paper straws to the Indian market now. Legislation, governments are playing a very important role as well. still what I mentioned before, the platform and the information, us as packaging and printing companies, we are sitting on so big opportunities and information on what can be shared. And with the connected packaging, with digitization, that is so easily done.
Matt, are you seeing any changes for legislation? Is that affecting or opening opportunities?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, as you know, Gabor said it so well as a customer of Transcend. I think it's huge. You know, there is huge opportunity. There's no question about that, and I agree that we've really got to be we've got to take the lead on this stuff. But you know, if anything, what we're finding as businesses, as we see these changes coming in, these directives coming in, you know, what we have to do is not be beaten down by them. We have to react, and we have to go find the opportunity. You know, so one of the things that Transcend, you know, that's in our DNA is innovation. So, you know, if there's a problem, we don't see it as a problem, we see it as an opportunity, genuinely. So if we need to develop a new material, develop new coatings, you know, remove plastic wherever we possibly can, that's what we do. So I think I try to see it more as opportunity rather than, oh no, not another legislation. You know, how can we be successful by reacting to these things?
One of the things that Chloe mentioned there was tethered caps in terms of legislation. I think that's an opportunity as well, like you're saying, Matt. Chloe, what do you think about the tethered caps and what's Tetra Pak and connected packaging doing about that?
Well, what I think about tethered caps, I think it's a good thing. I think we need it. We need to be able to secure how the pack is recycled after the consumption. So tethering the cap, attaching the cap is a way to recycle the packaging and the cap together and reduce littering in nature. So I think it's a good thing. Now, not everybody is aware of this SUPD. Not everybody is aware of the fact that you need to tether the cap prior to put it in the bin to be recycled. So I think there is a huge need of education, of explaining why we are doing it, and also what it's changing in the way that you use your packaging. For example, you might have to screw the cap, but then with the tethered cap, you will have to flip it. So the usage is changing. And if you don't explain why you're doing it, how you're doing it, and what is the value that you bring ultimately to your consumers, you might face some difficulty in the acceptance, you know. So I think that we have this opportunity. Matt and Gabor mentioned that challenges can be turned into opportunities thanks to connected pack, and I think that tethered cap is one of them. We need to use the connected pack to provide maybe some videos, maybe some quizzes, games, explanation, intuitive and fun content, so that consumers will understand and they will accept the modification. And I think that we are working with a very great agency. The name is Appetite Creative.
I'm glad you said that.
To develop some very good content that we will be able to provide also to our customers that are moving to tethered cap this year and next year.
Yeah, I think it's that opportunity to educate, to give much more information, because on labels and on packaging, we already know there's so many things that have to be included for legislation, by the law, by the rules. We kind of run out of space. And I think that's the element that digital gives us. There's no limit on the amount of space that you can have, videos, etc. You know, I think that's the beauty that digital offers to us. Matt, it looks like you want to jump in there.
No, I'm just listening. I'm nodding in agreement.
Oh, good.
No, absolutely. I do agree, though. I think, you know, the opportunity, legislation. One point to make. You know, when we do a lot of hot coffee cups. You know, hot drinks cups we manufacture, and for anything that's going into the EU now, there has to be certain, if there's any plastic in it, it has to have certain graphics put on it. And you're right, it's like, where are we going to put this It's completely compromising the graphic, the creativity, because there's this huge thing that has to be sort of put on the pack, which is fine. And I get that, you know, information and consumer education is key. But you know, that's probably one of the things when you think about labels, as you say, you have to put so much on. I think connected packaging really can help with the sheer amount of stuff you have to do to be compliant. So I think it's something that's going to grow and grow. I really do.
Gabor, your company is GoStraw, so you know we've got to hear from you in the sustainability. Tell us more.
We are very much into sustainability. That's all about our company. Sustainability in coming in with a product that is replacing what is. I don't want to talk bad about plastic, but these days plastic is not seen as the environmentally the best thing. So we are all about bringing a green alternative to the markets. But at the same time, for us, the physical product is not the end. Making the digitization and making it greener, the whole packaging the packaging ecosystem is equally interesting, and that's where we are right now developing GoStraw digitization. And what I've mentioned in the very beginning, that with connected packaging, the forward integration is an important element, involving consumers, educating consumers more, making them more part of the recycling systems, and making them understand a little bit better why our or the current green solutions are really green, what is happening on the nature. But same way, we must not forget about the backward integration as well. Whereas the consumer digitization around the world, it's very much advanced compared to what the industries have done. So we are looking a lot into backward integration as well. You would be surprised when you compare the consumer world, how digitized and how advanced we are compared to the industrial part. And Cloé and matters where we are in the packaging manufacturing. Before GoStraw, I was with SIG Combi Block, and there we look into our own processes, and we look at home how digitized we are as consumers, and then at the office how little digitized we are. Huge opportunities there, and connected packaging can bring back a lot of information to the manufacturer as well, to the factories, to the whole raw material supply chains as well, making it more efficient, removing wasted energy, wasted any kind of wasted capacities, wasted raw materials from the system. That as well, reducing carbon footprint and making the whole supply chain a lot more efficient. So that's where we are focused a lot now, to connect the digitized consumer with the digitized industry.
Yeah, I think what you say there, you know, being able to manage costs, being able to track loss as well in terms of materials and production, I think that's also, you know, really important. Digitization is across everything. It's also it's a cheaper way to market as well, isn't it? I mean, if you compare connected packaging with TV, you know, you're looking at on average around 2 minutes engagement time with connected packaging. A 2-minute TV ad costs an awful lot of money, let's put it that way. Firstly, to produce, and then secondly, of course, to get the airtime. Whereas, you know, connected packaging allows you to have 2 minutes of interaction, sometimes even more, and not have to have that cost. And, you know, the thing that I think our last panelist talked about, Rachel, is that also the product is in consumers' homes for a long time, so people can rescan it. So it's definitely more economically viable, as well as being sustainable. You know, not having to print lots of information, lots of flyers, being able to have videos and things there as well. So I think there's lots of different ways there. It's really around what the packaging companies want to offer, how brands want to offer that engagement rather than how, I think. But obviously there are things that are still barriers, are still challenges that are still stopping brands, or 100% of brands doing this right now. Cloé, what do you see in terms of connected packaging going forward? What are the kind of barriers? What are the challenges that you see from clients?
I think that the main challenge that we have today, like really today, is that there is so many things happening. We mentioned legislation, we mentioned production disruption, inflation, consumers being a bit confused between the value that the product will bring and the value that it will cost to, like the value for money. So I think that we need to present Connected Pack as a support for all these goals. How can you secure the supply chain? You can bring value in the production and the logistic by connecting the packaging. We mentioned RFID, we mentioned NFC. There is a lot of technology to connect at this level. We can also bring value to the consumer, explaining why they should still go for this brand, because they have commitment in environmental, social aspects. And we can also help through the Connected Pack the brands to know what exactly they should say, because they can connect this data, they can see what is the needs expressed by the consumers. And I think that last but not least, we can provide the value on the post-consumption aspect. So securing the fact that our packaging will be collected and sorted and transformed in the best way. And this is a really important step, let's say, to secure this because of the legislation, because of the consumer's demand. So all the changes that we are seeing now, we need to transform this. We already mentioned that we need to transform this into an opportunity thanks to Connected Pack, but we shouldn't come with Connected Pack as something that is separate from just supporting their needs. And this is a change that we are facing now, changing the conversation also with our customers to provide the value of Connected Pack in this really disturbed environment.
So a lot around kind of education.
I mean, it's education, but it's also adaptation. We shouldn't come with, like even Trizy, we are really proud of what we made with Trizy, but we shouldn't come with saying, oh, look, we have this very nice app, it's a chatbot on recycling, go for it. We should see what is the need of the customer. Do you have a need on educating your consumers to the fact that your packaging is recycled? Do you want to secure the fact that your packaging will be recycled? Okay, let's try with consumers education thanks to Trizy, and then we can work also with the industry, maybe on digital printing, to be sure that the pack will effectively be sorted in the recycling stream. So I think we should really focus on what is the need and how it can answer these needs with Connected Pack.
So matching the objectives really with what type of experience or solution makes sense.
Exactly.
Matt, what do you think? You're seeing it from a different point of view.
In terms of the future, you know,
well, the challenges, more the challenges. You know, why isn't it that 100% of your clients are doing things with connected packaging?
I think the challenge is, you know, as with anything, when you've got something that's perceived as new, you know, changing the conversation is actually really difficult, isn't it? It takes time, and I think ultimately, you know, we've been through a pandemic. Businesses have been put under a lot of pressure, and yes, they appreciate that they've got to work harder and they've got to make their packaging work hard for them. But you know, it's got to catch on, if that makes sense. We've got to see results from it, you know, which there are clear, tangible results. As we do with digital, you know, with digital packaging, we have to really build the case studies. We have to build, you know, take all that success data and keep pushing it. And I think future-wise, you know, that the challenge is education, not so much consumer education. I think that's badly needed. You know, because there is a lot of confusion out there around recyclability, compostability, all of these things, and quite honestly, people don't really get it yet. They you know, you could say to someone, oh, it's recyclable, and I think, great, it's eco-friendly. Well, no, it doesn't mean it's eco-friendly. and I think from a connected packaging perspective, I think it's education. You've got to educate brands and really, you know, keep it going, keep the conversation going.
Yeah, that makes a lot of good sense in terms of being able to talk to their end consumers, but also the brands, and make sure that the conversation does happen. Gabor, what do you think? What's your views? Again, a different point of view, perspective.
Yeah. Changing the conversation and a different perspective is we are closely following up the trends on how the reality, the virtual reality, and how augmented reality are going to find its way in the future. We can very easily imagine a future where people are walking around with well, not normal glasses, but with Google glasses, with a little bit or Apple glasses. So what you will see will be slightly different from the real world around. Back many decades ago, when I became involved with packaging, we were dreaming that the side of a milk carton will incorporate a television screen where you can see how this milk was cultivated, or on a juice carton you will see an orange orchard live. This technology is slowly becoming a reality, where with an augmented reality, at the moment it's available with your phone, either with Facebook, or I think you are working also some augmented reality solutions. So what we need is to find a way how, either with smartphones or with smart glasses, we can pick up the codes from the packaging and animate the whole world, animate packaging and animate all around, mix reality with the augmented reality. So that's also one area what we are closely watching. So make kind of digital packaging in a sense that the actual reality will be there, but we depict up codes that are going to load some virtual content as well, or augmented reality content as well, digital content onto the real world. That is also the digital packaging. So that will only be alive in the digital world, not in the real world, but through some devices, it will be nicely mixed together. So that is going to bring a total new consumer experience.
Definitely. And, you know, augmented reality is massively entering now a lot of the different projects that we're creating. But I think, again, important to go to Chloe's point as well. There's lots and lots of different things that we can do in augmented reality. And I love the fact that, you know, one of the things you were thinking was a TV screen on the side of the carton. I mean, essentially, that's what we're able to do now, and be able to show even down to the orchard, perhaps, that apple was picked from. So that kind of has become a reality, not so much that it's stuck to the side of the pack, but being able to kind of see into a digital screen and be able to connect those two things, the physical and the virtual world. Yet, again, going back to Chloe's point, not just kind of grabbing something and going, oh, we've heard of AR, we must do AR or whatever, but being able to actually have a story behind it and match the objectives to what you actually need. Is it about customer understanding and preference? Is it about education? Is it about being able just to launch a quiz or a competition in an easy way that we're going to be able to collect good data? Or is it something around sustainability? Or is it around track and trace? And does AR therefore make part of it? But yeah, absolutely, there's so much there. We've basically come to the end of the conversation of our time slot, but I just want to ask all of you, if there's one thing that you'd like the audience to take away from this session, what's your kind of one leaving sentence, I should say? I'm quite happy for anyone to jump in if anyone's got that immediately.
Well, no, I've usually got something to say, haven't I? I guess the one key thing is education is key, and also thinking innovatively. If as service providers, you know, whatever we're doing, whatever part we play, we've all got to think innovatively, and actually all bets are off because you can do anything you like. So we need to think of packaging more as a tactical marketing tool. There you go.
Nice.
I completely agree with you, but I think it's not only a marketing tool, it's just a tool. We need to use it as a tool to answer any challenges that we might have today. That could be, as we mentioned, also on the production side, on the supply chain side. So I think this is really the keyword. Let's see how Connected Pack today can help us answer the challenges that we have on the market.
Yeah,
Gabor.
Yeah, then there are two aspects. One is the interesting thing. We see the augmented reality is going to be a really interesting thing. On the profitable side, we are seeing the backward integration from Internet of Things to the industrial Internet of Things, or IIoT. That is the real big profitable opportunity, and that's where a lot of money can be made in the coming years.
Totally agree. So much to happen, so much coming down the line, but a lot of education, a lot of alignment, a lot of adaptation, and a lot of creative thinking. Thank you so much. Thank you, Matt Ward from Transcend, Cloé Morel from Tetra Pak, and Gabor Vass from GoStraw. Thank you so much for your insights. I think it's been a fantastic panel. It's been really nice having you.
Thank you, Jenny, for the nice conversation.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Do stay tuned, everyone. In a few minutes, around 8 minutes, I think it is now, we will be back. We will be looking at more recycled plastic, less ocean waste. So again, of course, continuing with our theme of sustainability. I will be joined here on my virtual stage by Carmen Barrero Perez, who is Acceleration Manager for Europe at AB InBev, and also by Julie De Bruca, who is Key Account Manager Beverage Benelux at Schloller Alibert. So do please stay tuned, and we'll be back in 6 minutes. Thank you so much.